another meeting and then coming to the meeting that we discussed. If I'm a few minutes late, then I believe that you can start the meeting and then I will get there later. Good luck with your leadership of that meeting, okay?
Hi, how can I help you?
Trying to get to the RACF event.
Right, that's right.
Is this thing on? Is this thing on? I'd like to welcome you to the 2020 Philanthropy Awards and annual report to the community.
Clay, I'm so glad to see you. Thanks for being here.
Oh, you forgot to tell me we weren't at the convention center.
You know the routine from last year, but things are different now.
That's for sure. Let's get started.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer Leonard, President and CEO of Rochester Area Community Foundation, and this is Clay Osborne, our former board member, and last year's Joe Posner Founders Award recipient.
Thank you. Jennifer and I want to welcome you to our first virtual Philanthropy Awards and annual report to the community.
So, I like to call it the Community Foundation's annual non-lunch. We'd rather be breaking bread with you at the convention center, but this year, maybe you just have your favorite lunch in front of you.
If you forgot your food, I have good news. We won't be keeping you long anyway, and we also won't hear your stomach growl.
So thanks for adding yet one more Zoom-style meeting to your schedule to find out what the Community Foundation's been up to and to find some inspiration from some remarkable community partners and contributors.
At the end of our brief program, 3 guests will be selected in a drawing, and a grant will be made to their favorite local not-for-profit.
Clay, did you hear somebody ask how the Community Foundation is doing?
I don't think so, but here we go anyway.
A history icon made its return to the Rochester Public Market. Mayor Lovely Warren unveiled a reintroduced 6-ton historic quartz fountain yesterday.
Facility will be coming to the city of Rochester thanks to a nearly $500 million grant.
A dramatic surge in cases of a deadly mystery virus.
Deadly virus. Tonight, authorities confirm it is being spread from human to human. It started in China.
This is not life as usual.
Cases.
None of this is life as usual.
We are now up to 81 confirmed cases here in Monroe County.
I declared a state of emergency in response to COVID-19. As a result, we made a decision to close public schools.
100% of the workforce. It is a mandate. Stay at home. If you're a non-essential worker, stay at home.
The Community Foundation has been thrilled to be a complete partner with the United Way of Greater Rochester in starting the Community Crisis Fund.
And to hand out Chromebooks to 4th and 5th graders. It was funded in part from the Community Crisis Fund in a partnership with the Rochester Area Community Foundation.
Everyone on this call is well aware of the fact that we are in an unprecedented situation.
That is the idea behind the Clarissa Street Reunion, the annual festival celebrating the area's past and future.
The arts community plays a unique role, a critical role, particularly in times like this.
All proceeds, all donations is going to racf.org live block. It's going to Black and Indigenous people of color.
Celebrating hometown pride, the city of Rochester is named a 2020 All-America City by the National Civic League.
We're working, we're on the job, all working remotely, and you have been remote and helping us help others.
"36 years ago, the Ames-Amzalak Fund at the Community Foundation was established to honor the memory of Henry Ames and his brother Seaman and Danielle Amzalak. Before they died, the brothers created several charitable trusts to benefit the Monroe County community that aided their business success. The Ames-Amzalak Charitable Trust established a fund at the Community Foundation in 1984 to recognize innovative and effective local not-for-profits. This award is given every other year and includes a $10,000 unrestricted grant. This year's recipient is the Center for Teen Empowerment. Teen Empowerment was founded in Boston in 1992 and opened in Rochester's Southwest neighborhoods in 2003. For the past 17 years, TEE has helped our urban youth hone their understanding of the social problems they face and use their many talents and skills to create change in their own lives and in their communities. Teen Empowerment brought youth voice to improve youth services, reform public high schools, and improve relations between youth, police, and community. Youth organizers played a critical role on the Community Task Force on School Climate in the development of new discipline policies for the Rochester City School District that have resulted in a continued decline in suspensions along with academic gains. We're so proud of the work TE has done and look forward to its continued involvement in our community and uplifting our youth. Accepting the Ames Amzalike Award for Not-for-Profit Excellence on behalf of Teen Empowerment is Destiny Ford, a youth organizer and a senior at Wilson Magnet High School.
Coming into Teen Empowerment, I had mental health issues, coming from a single parent home in a poverty-ridden neighborhood. So I consider myself like really a broken young lady when I first started at Teen Empowerment, but Teen Empowerment became an outlet. I always say I was helping others while helping myself because I use verbal arts to share my story, and that became an outlet for me. So the more I talked about it, the more I healed. And besides the verbal arts and learning that I love to write, I learned how to code switch, how to like carry myself in different situations, and how to be well spoken, and also just how to be mindful. I think, yes, my first year there, we had what we call Wellness Wednesdays, where we would do yoga, and we had a yoga instructor come. And so just, I feel like it was holistically life skills, obviously being a young leader and youth organizer. So I learned a lot of time management, how to be mindful, how to like read a room and know how to act when you're there. All the skills that I've learned, I definitely know that I have a family at TE, and like TE is home. I will always come back, whether I move away and come back or stay. Like once you're part of TE, it's home and you're a family. So I definitely feel like the needs facing the teens and my community is an outlet, and a healthy outlet, because like I see for myself that when we go through the stuff that we go through in our neighborhood, some teens turn to drugs or alcohol, just substance, to temporarily heal the pain. But I feel like if we had outlets, then we would have a healthy way to express our feelings and our emotions, and also know and understand that even though we are in a community that majority is Black, like mental health is real, and talking about your feelings and acknowledging the stuff that hurts you, it is okay, regardless of what society has told us for so many years. I believe this award will mean that Teen Empowerment can just continue to do the amazing work that they've been doing for years. I believe it's definitely going to help expand and be able to reach more youth and more people in our community, which is very much needed. Me and a couple friends or former colleagues that I used to work with at Teen Empowerment were just talking about last week, like it really needs to be a Teen Empowerment on every side of Rochester, on the east side, on the west side, like just everywhere, because we feel like all the teens need to, or all our peers need to experience what we experience on whatever level it is. And the grant will definitely help with that expanding and growing, so TE can touch more lives. I definitely want to say thank you. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. TE has been doing this work for years and helping young adults and teens like myself. And just to watch how it's going to grow and expand makes me very optimistic for the future of our community.
Thank you so much, Destiny, for sharing how teen empowerment changed your life and provided you with hope for the future. In just a few minutes, we will hear from our Philanthropy Award recipients. First, I'd like to share the state of your community foundation. We all care about Greater Rochester, city of Frederick Douglass, the escaped slave whose words helped free others, and of Susan B. Anthony, whose pursuit of women's suffrage succeeded 100 years ago, in the 100th year of her own birth. They cared and they acted. So have you this year. Food pantry volunteering, census canvassing, public protests, personal outreach, mask making, and so much giving to support our neighbors in this time of crisis. In mid-March, when concerns about the pandemic caused our region to begin closing down, the Community Foundation joined United Way of Greater Rochester to launch the Community Crisis Fund. Contributions came from other foundations, companies, and ultimately hundreds of donors from every walk of life. Churches donated their offerings, companies matched their employees' gifts, families chipped in so that our local charities could help those who needed food to eat, safe places to sleep, child care, health care, and mental health support, masks lovingly sewn by refugee tailors and seamstresses, and so much more. Our communities pulling together, you showed that your generosity can't be quarantined. The Community Foundation empowers donors and community partners like yourselves to strengthen our region through philanthropy by building and deploying a community endowment to meet changing needs. And boy, did our needs change this year, and so quickly. Thank goodness our community had built that endowment, because this was the year endowments stepped up. Their time had come. Over the years, we have found many ways to describe how caring people put money with the foundation to help our community face an unknown future. Investing in tomorrow today, generosity across the generations, give where you live. This year, we confronted that unknown future full force. Let me tell you just one story about how endowment played a crucial role in responding to this year's COVID-19 pandemic. Many years ago, about the time our community was planning a Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Highland Park, I met a veteran of that war named William Maxion. William was one of a kind. He even spelled his name all in lowercase. In technology terms, William was an early adopter, and he coached me on using email. Yes, email. It was that long ago. William chose the old Vic and Herbs in Seabreeze for our first meeting. His dilemma: how to help his parents' estates benefit not just the family, but the community. Together, we designed a family fund to help deserving young people connect through technology, what William called education for humanity. You may have guessed the end of this story. This year, the Maxion Family Endowment played a crucial role in closing the digital divide with a lead gift of $170,000 to our new COVID Education Fund. Now, school children in Rochester and Wayne County benefit from internet service and equipment that allows them to learn remotely, just as William had hoped. Many of our donors joined in to help alongside school districts, the city, county, and more. Meanwhile, other endowment funds also supported our gifts to the Community Crisis Fund, Food Link, for census outreach, and so many other critical needs this year, all pulling together and proving the power of endowment when we needed it most. Today, your Community Foundation oversees about 1,500 named funds, started by you and your neighbors to meet Greater Rochester's needs today, tomorrow, and in that future yet to come. Just this past year, these funds generated more than $36 million in 6,500 grants for education, economic self-sufficiency, racial equity, successful aging, arts and culture, historical preservation, and much, much more. Since 1972, in fact, Community Foundation donors have made possible more than $500 million in grants. This year, donors trusted us with $28 million in new gifts, including the creation of 60 new funds. As many of you know, we carefully invest these funds so they provide reliable, renewable grant income over time. Some years, that's not so easy. This summer, you and your children or grandchildren missed your annual trip to Seabreeze Amusement Park, so we found a little footage of the Jackrabbit to remind you, as well as to give you a taste of what it was like to care for the community's endowment this year. Look familiar? We started 2020 with $504 million in invested gifts and endowments. As pandemic fear took hold of the markets, we watched these community assets drop 17% by March 31st when our fiscal year ended. We held on and benefited from our diversified portfolio. By the end of June, our 30-year average annual return, net of fees, was still 8.6%, ahead of our benchmark and our goal to produce 5% for grants plus cover inflation. By July, those community assets had rebounded to $478 million. We are proud to care for so many of our community's charitable investments. We also work to ensure those investments contribute to positive, enduring community change. We have to admit, not every one of our supporters understood when we responded to our own Act Rochester research on our region's poverty by focusing on racial disparities as a crucial factor. But good data does not lie. Rochester's tale of two cities, one with a phenomenal history of wealth and culture, yet among the most segregated metros in the nation, came to a tragic climax with the recent disclosure of Daniel Prude's death in March. Now we all need to build a better future together. Tackling disparities is why we launched two more giving opportunities called the Arts Prevail Fund and the Racial Equity Growth Fund. Moving forward, the Community Crisis Fund has also increased its emphasis on nonprofits serving Black, Latinx, and other underrepresented populations, and those led by people of color. We are all in this together, pulling together through the challenges of the pandemic, sustained by the remarkable efforts of parents, educators, first responders, vaccine developers and testers, mask wearers, businesses adapting to change, and the generosity that can't be quarantined. Just last month, our community was recognized as an All-America City thanks to our inclusive new city plan and the collective grassroots efforts to drive down student suspensions, drive up high blood pressure control, and revitalize the Clifford-Conkey neighborhood. As a representative and diverse group of Rochesterians showed in our final All-America City presentation, we rock. Rock forward. We can do this. Now I'd like to introduce Shantara Randall, City School Educator and Teen Empowerment Summer Program Director. Along with Shantara are teens from the program to present a spoken word. Shantara originally wrote and performed this piece for our 2009 annual luncheon. Welcome and thank you, Shantara.
How do we save this nation? By working together so those who have are willing to give, so others won't have to relive history's past. And at last, those people will be given a name, philanthropists. But this is just terminology because chronologically it has been their tradition to give their rendition through donation. But how do we save this nation?
How do we save this nation, this creation, a people who have become immune to another's pain, so the struggle remains persistent, because we refuse to listen to their silent cries, struggle undefeated, and we sit back as society repeats it. So how do we save this nation?
When defeat and opportunity meet, when poverty and wealth greet, when philanthropy becomes more than just a word, but something like a proverb, a dedication to standing side by side, to better the community and keep hope alive. And hope lives within the hands of the haves and the have-nots. So with hands missing, then we have not accomplished what we stand for, which is to have more. But we have more and forget about our poor. So how do we save this nation?
When we realize that surface is not giving handouts, but extending a hand out, and knowing that sometimes your work won't be acknowledged, but have this knowledge that this nation needs, and knowing that good deeds don't go unnoticed. And you can quote this from an indigenous woman, Mari. Do not come help me, unless you see your liberation as tied up in mine. Then come back and work with me. All that means is that you should feel free when reaching out to people like me. And that's the true definition of philanthropy.
Together, we will save this nation.
Thanks so much for reprising that wonderful spoken word, which still has great meaning for us today. I'm Elizabeth Thorley, Chair of the Foundation's Board of Directors. Generosity can't be quarantined, and neither can celebrations. This is our 30th consecutive year of recognizing passionate and creative philanthropists who inspire us by their giving. Today's Philanthropy Award recipients, Jose, Nancy, and Mary Frances, are terrific role models for the many ways you can give back to our community and to causes you care about. Today's award recipients have received a loving cup specially designed for us by the late Wendell Castle. We are honored to share a work of art by the world-renowned and Rochester's own father of art furniture. I'd like to introduce you to our first Philanthropy Award recipient. Nancy Robbins isn't a household name, but she probably should be. She was the lead volunteer and fundraiser who got Rochester's original Ronald McDonald House built and opened in 1990. She also was that organization's first board chair. Nancy has been active with a variety of community organizations and served on many boards. But her connection to the Community Foundation is relatively recent. She established the Daniel and Nancy Robbins Family Endowment Fund 4 years ago, initially to support women's and children's health and well-being. She now collaborates with her 2 daughters and 5 grandsons on grant decisions to carry out the family's legacy of giving back to this community and theirs. Nancy, we are thankful you are a part of the Community Foundation family. Your unwavering commitment to this community and your personal generosity is inspirational. Please accept a 2020 Philanthropy Award and our thanks and congratulations.
I wanted my daughters and my grandsons particularly to understand philanthropy. I was growing up, it was Depression years. We're asked to give of our time, our talent, our treasure. In those years, there was no treasure. But my parents inspired me to give of myself. And when there was a need in the community, in the neighborhood, they were the first responders. They responded to every time there was a birth or a death or any tragedy of any, or a need of any kind. And I learned from that to give myself when I couldn't give money. And eventually, as I grew older and married a man who could afford me, and was able to give of my treasure. I have a daughter who, as a child, had cancer, was very sick, was cured at Strong Memorial Hospital when they thought she wasn't going to live at all. So she knew that I had a warm spot for the hospital and for sick children. This agency manager told me about the Ronald McDonald, or the McDonald owner-operators trying to establish a Ronald McDonald House in Rochester. They had to explain to me what that was. I had no idea. And I said, well, I would help. And eventually, after we explored what it would take to do this, they persuaded me to spearhead the effort. I knew nothing about raising $2 million, but I felt strongly about the fact that this was a good thing for Rochester. So I foolishly accepted the challenge. There was no Ronald McDonald House when I could have used it. I remember sleeping on a fold-out chair at Johns Hopkins Hospital when my daughter was there. So I understand the need for a place to sleep, to eat, to get support. The first thing I try to do is to support the things that the foundation is promoting. I figure that they have researched it well. They understand the needs of the community, and I want to be part of helping them make it a success.
Our second Philanthropy Award honoree is Mary Frances Winters. Mary Frances came from Niagara Falls to attend the University of Rochester and then stayed for 35 years. During those decades, she worked at Kodak and had a family, launched her own business, volunteered on the Community Foundation Board, and got involved in our community, all because she cared. Her work embodies her passion for uplifting people of color, communities of color, women of color, and those who have been marginalized in our society. She is one of, if not the, leading diversity, equity, and inclusion experts in the country. In addition to training people in businesses, institutions, and organizations, she is a prolific author. She contributed a chapter on philanthropy to the State of Black Rochester book published by our African American Giving Initiative in 2013. Her newest book, Black Fatigue: How Racism Erodes the Mind, Body, and Spirit, was released just last week. In 1996, Mary Frances created an endowed fund at the foundation to promote diversity and inclusion. Today it awards grants for innovative and unique diversity programming across the country in the name of her business, the Winters Group. Mary Frances, even though you have moved on, we know your heart is with Rochester. Please accept this 2020 Philanthropy Award with our appreciation for all you have done and are doing to make our country and our world more equitable and inclusive.
Thank you so much for that warm welcome. I'm Mary Frances Winters, and I am here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I love Rochester. My heart is in Rochester. I started my own company because, quite frankly, I didn't feel that my talents were being fully utilized in the corporate world. And as you know, my work is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And even 36 years later, we are still struggling to create equitable spaces. And I've just always been interested in philanthropy, always been interested in ways to give back. And I am so thankful that I am now in a position to give back through our Live Inclusively Actualized fund. But I've was involved with the Community Foundation for many, many years, and just love the mission. I like the idea of those individuals who are not multimillionaires being able to give back as well, that there's a venue and that there's a way and a process, and it's just a wonderful way to be able to engage in community philanthropy. My passion has not changed. It is still about uplifting people of color, uplifting communities of color, uplifting women of color, uplifting those whose voices have been muffled, uplifting those who are the most marginalized in our society. I am so very humbled by this honor. When Jennifer called me to tell me that this was going to be bestowed upon me, I just, couldn't believe it. And why it is so important to me is because I do come from humble beginnings. And I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would be able to be a, quote, philanthropist. I remember many years ago when I was doing some work for the Council on Foundations, and we were interviewing people of color in various communities, and I was in Miami. And this woman said to me, I asked her, what does philanthropy mean to you? And are you a philanthropist? She said, oh, no, I'm not a philanthropist. She said, those are the folks with the big bucks of millions and millions of dollars. And so we recognized then that even that word philanthropy was a scary word for communities of color. And then we also began to realize that we give back in many ways: time, talent, and treasure. And so I knew that I could give my time, and I knew that I could give my talent, and I have been doing so for many years by serving on a lot of not-for-profit boards. But I always wanted to be able to give my treasure. I always wanted to be able to make monetary gifts, that would make a difference. So this honor is just so very special to me, because it's been a vision of mine, it's been a dream of mine that I would be able to legitimately be called a philanthropist. And so I thank you from the bottom of my heart for recognizing me and I will continue to call Rochester home.
So good to see you, Mary Frances, even if it's just virtually. The last segment of our program today is the Joe U. Posner Founders Award. This award was named in memory of our founding board chair, and each year recognizes a special individual who has shown significant commitment to the Community Foundation and its mission of community philanthropy. The 2020 Joe U. Posner Founders Award recipient is Jose Coronas. Anybody who knows Jose knows that he just can't seem to really and truly retire, but he's working on it. Jose has been working in Rochester since his first summer job at Kodak in 1965. He's also been working for Rochester in a variety of ways, by investing in new startup companies, helping Ibero-American Action League set up a scholarship endowment to help Hispanic students going to college, and establishing a college scholarship for Hispanic students attending at St. John Fisher College. We're grateful for the 10 years of service Jose gave as a member of the Community Foundation Board, and especially his 2 years as board chair. He and his wife Karen have been invaluable volunteers and contributors, serving as hosts for an evening out at home, consistently supporting our community sponsors' annual campaign, and creating the endowed Jose and Karen Coronas Community Impact Fund to meet the future needs of our region. Most of all, Jose is a terrific ambassador for the Community Foundation, always connecting and recommending us to folks he meets, something that Joe U. Posner was so great at doing. Jose, we're honored to present you with the Joe U. Posner Founders Award with our deepest gratitude.
It is an honor to be recognized by the foundation with the Joe U. Posner Award. Joe was a role model for many of us, and I am proud to be in the company of past recipients, many of whom are good friends that I admire greatly. I was privileged to serve in the foundation board for many years and see firsthand the work of this remarkable organization. It serves as an exceptional driver for philanthropy in our community. I have been blessed in my life with devoted parents, a lovely wife, and wonderful daughters. I thank them for supporting me and fully accepting the amount of time I spent on community activities. I proudly share this award with them. It's been over 50 years since I arrived in Rochester, eager to begin my career with Kodak, not knowing what a snow looked like, but full of dreams and expectations. Over the years, as my business career developed, I had the opportunity to serve as a volunteer and often as a board member of many Rochester not-for-profit community service organizations. At the top of that list was the Community Foundation. Serving in those boards have been some of the most rewarding experiences of my life. And I sincerely encourage those of you that may be listening to bring balance and fulfillment to your life with a good deal of community service. I think a good recipe for life is not only to take full advantage of any opportunities available to you, but to also help in whatever way you can to make sure others, perhaps less privileged, have similar opportunities. Thanks again to the Foundation for this wonderful honor. Muchas gracias.
Wow, that went fast. Thank you for being with us today, and please join me in congratulating Mary Frances, Jose, and Nancy, along with Teen Empowerment, for all the wonderful work they did to be recognized today. Now, Clay and I have an awesome task of being able to select from the early bird registrants 3 names whose favorite charities will receive $250 on their behalf. So, Clay, are you ready to draw the first name?
Yes, the first one will be Barbara Whale, and there's from the Ark of Monroe will be the recipient.
Terrific. Congratulations to Barbara and the Ark of Monroe. Next.
The next one will be Daryl Stanek, and the recipient would be Loop Ministries Incorporated, Urban Food Pantry.
All right. Congratulations, Daryl.
The third one will be Leslie Hurlbert, and the recipient will be Developmental Disabilities Giving Circle.
Congratulations, Leslie, and thanks. Thanks to everyone for joining us today. We hope next year we will be doing this in person. Thanks for joining us, and have a wonderful rest of your day.